And Redstone stock is cheaper than a cents in 14 South African rands. It says, is Bob Iger a forcibly retired CEO walking? Well, that gets us in nicely to the top story, along with this one here from Sander, who's been a member for 32 months.
Yeah, I read about that.
Will Elon Musk give $10 billion to buy Disney stock? Well, that's the big breaking news this morning. Actually, this is more breaking yesterday, I would say. But Jonas, that's part of the reason we asked you to come by today, because that Park Place has been all over this business. Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz have been hanging out like buddies. Did we lose Jonas?
Sorry, I hit my mute button.
It's okay. Yeah, I just thought maybe I perfect wrong timing.
Just in response to your terrible bee joke, I just want to say that's a pollinating.
It was lazy and unoriginal.
And I waited this long to get mine out. See, that's perseverance.
That's good. That's a good running gag. Keeping the audience in suspense is one of the keys to humor. Sometimes it's great to stretch things out for as long as possible in order to just keep people wondering and laughing at the absurdity of this.
And that's a great intro to this story.
And waiting. Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware, Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz were both at the premiere of Lola, which is a film that Selena Gomez had some hand in making. And I think it incorporates two of Nelson Peltz's either children or maybe his stepsons in it. It's kind of immaterial what the relationship is there, other than Nelson Peltz's daughter is in the mix there. And of course, she's much better looking than him because she comes from more attractive stock mixed in with that old money. So basically, there's a clip here, and it's referenced later on in the article of Peltz on the red carpet, and he is hamming it up on that red carpet. He's wearing that same leather jacket that he was wearing in the clip of the New York Times Dealbook Summit. Not enough coffee today. You see that head that's right behind Elon Musk. And yeah, go ahead.
Bombs away.
This out of my closet, so it looks really cool. Like
there's Peltz.
Thanks. So I'm a pilot. Oh, really cool. So what brings you to the Lola carpet? I'm just here with friends. You know, thinking about companies to acquire. Whoa! Like that TV? Where do you acquire?
So if you look right before he says
right
here with
Nelson.
friends. Yeah, he looks over his shoulder at Nelson Peltz right before he says, "I'm here with friends, thinking about companies to acquire." It's beautiful, and they're the happy family there.
Oh wow!
Uncle Elon embracing the kids and Nelson there. Just to put this in perspective, Elon Musk, some of it's tied up in companies right now. He's worth $230 billion compared to Disney as a whole being $177 billion, I think, this morning, and that's because the stock is up after Nelson Peltz has announced his proxy fight here. So there's been some interaction between the two of these entities, at least formally. Elon Musk himself interacting with the Restoring Magic campaign. And of course, Elon is very quick to jump out and point out the garbage that's been going out from the Walt Disney Company, including I think it's right after this, the Aristocats tweet talking about how the Aristocats is now too offensive for children and needs a trigger warning put on the front of it.
Damn, he needed to connect it to my video. Shoot, he's not watching my stuff.
Go out there and if you want to send me the link, I will tell Pro to update the article. Or you could be a reply girl on Twitter. Sorry, I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because it's more fun to say.
Yeah, no, Twitter X, I call it.
Yeah. So, I mean, $8.85 billion would be enough to acquire 5% of the Walt Disney Company right now. Obviously, Elon Musk is going to go and most likely reincorporate his company in another state other than Delaware, get his hands on $55 billion, and who knows what he decides to do with that. He's not hard up for the money, I would say, but it wouldn't take much for Elon Musk to really rattle the cages over there at the Disney company. Now, this being said, the two of them standing next to each other, I don't know if Elon Musk is trolling or what, but at the very least, I appreciate the coronary that he has probably just given Bob Iger.
Put an Elon Musk in it and make Marvel great again.
Let me be the advocate of evil here.
Evil.
Yeah, Musk does not troll without some meaning behind it.
Oh yeah, when he trolls with a lot of money behind it. He's not. When I say troll, I don't mean a couple of tweets. He's got playing around money that outclasses a lot of people's wildest dreams.
Yeah, and he's not about the kind of flash and dash most billionaires are. To him, it's being the smartest guy in the room, the wealthiest guy in the room. He happens to be both in almost every room. So, the fact that, he's there being pictured with Peltz isn't an accident. It's not just for the coronary effect, which I am picturing in my mind right now. Jonas, thank you very much. I have been saying for a long time, wouldn't it be great, since Elon has been indicating that he has interest in dethroning Bob, wouldn't it be great if he just bought Bob?
Well, I'm going to, he's dropped hints, especially with the hi, Bob, go fund yourself business. So this to me feels like the next logical step. And we discussed this, right? We all said, well, what if, he meant something by that? What if Elon is paying attention? And what if he does decide to throw his hat in this ring? We've discussed that a little bit. Now we're actually looking at a point where it could be a reality, because this guy has the money to do something that could and should, I think, make Bob worry. Because we could be looking at an interesting turn of events if there were to be some kind of hostile takeover. What are the other possibilities here that this door opens up, Jonas?
Well, if he's looking at it from a business standpoint, he can make a few dollars, which I personally don't think that is necessarily what Elon Musk is going for here. But if he views Twitter as a culture war aspect, and he sees Disney here as the largest, most influential, obviously, I mean, my entire thing here on YouTube and in this space is pretty much reacting to Disney, because we only have enough time to react to Disney, because Disney is kind of screwing up everything in culture right now, not to mention the news aspect and the sports and all this other stuff that's kind of secondary to the entertainment thing as far as the culture war aspect. But if Elon Musk is focused on the culture war, Disney is the most important next step. And adding into it that if he is personally hacked off against Iger, and if Elon Musk is obsessed with fixing the Disney company, he's an obsessive person, and he's also very business driven. So if you have a company that should be one of the most technologically advanced entertainment companies on the planet, and if you have drawn Elon Musk's attention, I would say the possibility just went way up here. Now there's two things that come up. First of all, is if he bought more than 5% of the company, he would have to declare his intentions to the SEC. I don't think he has any problem there, because that's not saying it's set in stone. He just has to file a form in order to say it, which, by the way, he has to be mentioned on their proxy statements if he does put in that amount of money. Or if he decided to just hand that amount of money over to Peltz and have Tree and Fund Management take care of everything for him, I don't think Peltz would mind whatsoever to take on that ownership role and really stir things up. There's this is a small thing before I shut up here for a second. Third Point has only 0.35% of the company and has a board seat. There's a person on the Disney company board, Carolyn Everson. They have 0.35%. Peltz has 1.77% under his control right now, and they're acting like, "Oh no, go away! Don't bother us. You have this piddly amount of shares. You don't know what you're doing." There are people with much fewer shares in that company that have a voice and a vote on that board right now. So we're 2 days from the quarterly shareholders call. I think that there's a lot of things that we could keep saying it's a coincidence, but I don't think it's a coincidence.
Right. And on another note, going along with my joke I just made a little bit before, I think that this could raise some eyebrows because Elon Musk is somebody people listen to, right? Like, I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face about Nelson Peltz and shareholders and all this other bullshit, and most people won't give a crap. Elon Musk getting involved raises some eyebrows, kind of like the South Park thing with Kathleen Kennedy, only times 1,000. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we have to be careful. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
It can be. It can be.
I mean,
but
let's not read things into this until we have more evidence.
How often does Elon tease something and not go through with it, though?
He's a troll. He's a fantastic troll. He loves poking fun. And who else on this planet could make a joke saying, "Hey, I might buy your company"? I'm looking at whatever that joke was. Who else could pull that off and make it funny? Because
that is a fair
true.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I don't disagree. I just think that this would be such an easy area for him to just euphemistically, I'll say it, ruin Bob Iger's day,
yes,
or at least his next few months.
He might do it in partnership with other people, where he then just abandons the whole thing. He is not going to be involved in Disney at all. Disney's a mess. It's not like Twitter, as big a mess Twitter was. He went in there, reduced the employees by 80%, and he knows tech companies. That's what he knows. That's something he can do in his sleep. Disney, I think
he knows business management. That's all that's needed. He knows business management. This is where the biggest failures in Disney lies. I think that he can go in there.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Just do what he did to X, basically.
He can, just do what he did to X. He can go in there, have appoint Nelson Peltz, the new CEO, him be on the board, and basically whenever Peltz is in doubt about something, run it with Musk, have him be the tiebreaker. It's going to really clean things up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be more like SpaceX, where he's really not hands-on.
Exactly. He doesn't have to be too hands-on in order to just be there and oversee the larger strategic lines the way that the company is right now. Just imagine, this is a company that was worth, under Chapek, the best of Chapek, $200 per share.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's less than half of that. Imagine what kind of value all of them can gain if they're able to get it up there again. If anyone can do that, it's these guys.
You know what? If Musk does go through with it, the first thing I think he should do is put in a SpaceX ride.
It'd be amazing.
Maybe he'll call it Disney X.
Well, actually, it would be rather easy for him to do that because they already have an attraction in Epcot that is a mission to Mars.
Ooh.
I just had an idea on his behalf. I mean, Disney Plus is kind of like a strained brand. Relabel it Disney X. Just that alone is going to...
I think that's great.
And it's already...
You see there?
It's a multiplier right there.
That's a streaming service, Disney X, right there.
Disney XXX.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go with Outer last year. I like Dixney.
Yeah.
Dixney works much better for me.
You know what? If he fired if one of the rides that they could line up for is being shot up into space for a few moments, it would be huge.
You joke about that now, Paul, but in a few years, I'm not kidding. It could be possible.
Please stand behind the firewall. Please.
I was listening to something
behind the blast wall.
Yeah.
On talk radio, where they were saying that if it wasn't for Elon Musk, NASA would be in deep shit right now, basically.
Disney and Cape Canaveral ain't that far apart.
That's true.
Yeah, there's two things I'll add here. One, apparently Elon Musk makes a habit of every time he does a launch, he'll take his son on Space Mountain. So he's got strong family traditions that are tied to Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. And two, if he is a fan of any Marvel character or any Star Wars character, he's probably hacked off every time he sees anything from current Star Wars or Marvel. If he's a Star Wars fan, as most nerdy sci-fi focused people are, I know that Star Wars is not really sci-fi, it's fantasy. set in space. But I don't think that he should make creative decisions for the company, especially after reading the book about him from Walter Isaacson's. He does not need to be making creative decisions for the company. But what I would like is a veto from somebody like Elon Musk, who is most likely a fan, to just have someone to, oh, this doesn't have Luke Skywalker in it, or it's Luke Skywalker and he's getting neutered. No.
Boy, that would certainly change things. I mean,
Well, Chris has been kind of quiet. I want to get his reaction to all this.
Yeah, I think it would be great if Elon bought a large percentage of shares in Disney and had an influence. I mean, he does comment on pop culture. So, yeah, I like this idea. And I think he is kind of trolling, but I mean, buying Twitter started as a joke. Should I buy it?
That's what I mean.
Remember that tweet is like, should I buy Twitter? It's like, yes, you should buy it. Oh, okay. And then what happened to the Babylon Bee getting, basically, they weren't kicked off the platform. They were forced to delete. Yeah, they were forced. Exactly. They were forced to delete a tweet, which they refused to delete.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I love it. I think when Elon trolls, he doesn't mess around. He doesn't joke. I mean, he's sort of half joking, but if it's possible for him to do it, and more than likely he'd probably, like with Twitter, he'd pull together money from other sources, so he's not all in. He'd basically spread the risk around. So I don't know. You could see like getting a group of people together to say, hey, what are you doing with Disney? Is one of the greatest brands ever, and it's been ruined. It's been ruined by Iger being a terrible shepherd of very strong IP, Marvel, Disney, Pixar. How do you screw that up? How do you screw that up in a decade? And it's
the message.
Exactly. Like has come out in the D-Files. It's weak management, weak leadership, and allowing activists, which are a minority percentage of the population, think the way that the activists do. That's just facts. I'm sorry. Most people are blissfully unaware, apolitical, and, are only now kind of noticing things. There are people like us that are maybe have been more attuned to it. I mean, frankly, I came to all this stuff late because of, spending so much time in indie film. It's like, well, there's always activism in independent film. There just is, but those movies are small and don't have large audiences, a gay cowboy eating pudding. I mean, that's the bread and butter of Sundance, and that's fine. And those movies would open in 2 movie theaters, one in New York, one in LA, to get reviews. Right. They were made and they were scaled and made, for small sums of money so that they could end up going to some cable, get a cable deal, a limited theatrical, and then fingers crossed, maybe be an awards winner to get attention. But that thinking has leaked into mainstream entertainment, and I don't think people like it. And I don't even know, like, if a lot of people that don't like it know what they don't like about it. They just know that, like, why is every woman in a movie a girl boss? This is,
and not even a hot girl boss at that.
Right. Although I'll say, I like Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she's a curvy girl, and I like her. She's got sort of a Betty Page thickness to her, where I almost bought her badassness because she has she's not some 90-pound twig, model type. So
she's also got skill and talent, so she sells the idea.
Well, and the other thing is her weight. Her weight doesn't come from her being like lazy and shit. It comes from her being a mom, for fuck's sake.
Well, I'm saying
she wears it naturally well. Like, that's the difference. She does look good, not tiny.
Well, she's been an it girl in the past. She was Spider-Man 3. She was the blonde.
Yeah, but that was when she was tiny. But even when we were talking to like Clint Howard, he pointed out how she had such a rough time doing anything in Hollywood because either she can't direct because she's a woman or because of her dad, and they don't think she's ever going to be as good as him. And then the other side of it is the acting side. She was constantly having to diet, he said, because they were always calling her fat.
That would be so annoying. So if I'm trying to take this whole thing here, if I'm solving this with a magic wand, like napkin level of thinking here, it's Elon Musk gets a little money in here. Maybe he calls Peter Thiel, who is a gay conservative billionaire who probably also is not a fan of Bob Iger. Gives them a little extra cover on the LGBT aspect here. You just, I mean, you don't have to think too deep about it. Go figure out how much money that go buy Skydance Animation, or go hire Lasseter back and put him back in charge of the parks. Put Jay Rasulo, who has some experience at the company, as CEO. I'm not saying that's perfect, but you're 90% of the way there. Jon Favreau, Bryce Dallas Howard, someone with some chops and some both commercial and critical success under their belt, in charge of Lucasfilm, and you're most of the way there. And then give them carte blanche, which is, I think, the thing that would come if Nelson Peltz and Elon Musk are the big financial backers of the Walt Disney Company at this point. The ability to clean house, because you have to get rid of the incumbent in this place. Bob Iger being allowed to choose his successor and picking someone who is, quote unquote, the next Bob Iger is a problem. If they don't come in here and say, this next person has the ability to reform the company, then they have a problem. It cannot be another Bob Iger. It needs to be someone who, as Joshua Harris, a good friend of mine, likes to say, someone who Bob Iger would hate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because the day of Bob Iger is over. His strategy had its time. That time is now over. And the sooner you realize this, the better. But if you have Bob Iger trying to protect his legacy by appointing a thief who's going to continue ruling in his place the way he would have wanted to, you can kiss the Disney company goodbye. The only way to fix it at this point is to remove Iger and any trace of him, all of his lieutenants. You need to do what they do to Twitter. Fire 80% of the people. I have said before, fire 100% and have the good ones reapply. But hey, if you fire 80% like they did with Twitter, that's probably going to suffice.
Agreed.
Well, sadly, the only way you're going to get that outcome is if someone owns 51% of the company, because it doesn't matter how much stock you have that's under 50%. It doesn't necessarily entitle you to a board seat when you have a corrupt board that gets to pick its own members.
Yeah, I think a slate by somebody that was, essentially laid out by Musk would probably deliver on everything we've been talking about and everything that we've been concerned with. And I think Rasulo is a great starting point, as Jonas pointed out, but I think you're also looking down the line for somebody younger that has the acumen, ability, and sensibility to operate the Disney company as a family brand once again.
Yeah,
they need to make movies.
Yeah.
Well, that's honestly the one bit of the operation is a big company, and the movies is just they need to get the park sorted out. That's a big thing.
The park
whole
too,
thing.
But they could be making a cheap, cheap live action movies. Freaky Friday, Freaky Saturday, something, Freaky Sunday. I don't care.
Right. We talked about that. They don't make movies like Mighty Ducks and stuff anymore.
No.
But point being here with Musk. Oh, go ahead.
So the closest they're coming is they're going to move that Disney Plus Lilo and Stitch live action movie. They're probably going to give that a theatrical release in the last half of this year. So, okay, if it doesn't need to change the world, but it needs to have heart and be relatively good. I'm not saying it needs to be the best thing in the world. Most Disney movies from back in the day had a timeless quality. They weren't the best. They were a little out of touch, but that was the point, because they were supposed to be marketable for more than the current day.
Yeah, it's supposed to be generational.
Well, Disney was a brand. It was, when we said Disney-fied, it used to mean something was, overly sanitized or safe for children. Now it means there might be dick sucking involved.
Phew, I hate that you're right.
And it could. Yeah, I mean, I make a joke, but it's funny because it's true. But Elon, I think he grew up close to our generations here, in between our generations, if you count to Paul, because he's like older than dirt,
really old.
But yeah, no, so I agree. I think he's seen what we've seen over the years. He's a nerd. He's a geek like us. He loves Star Wars. I'm sure he likes Marvel. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that are Disney involved, especially with the parks and other things that he grew up with, that he is sick of seeing fall off.
Yeah, but I don't want Elon's taste all over
I don't think you're going
Disney.
to be getting that. But you know what? I think that you probably would prefer Elon Musk's taste all over than Bob Iger's taste all
Right.
over.
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
that
Of
being
the
said,
two-
go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
Yeah, no, like of the two, I do believe that's the decidedly less evil, because he would be the devil that you don't know, but the devil based on what he has done to X and everything else, you have every reason to trust. Whereas Iger has shown and demonstrated in words and in action that we have no reason to trust him, none whatsoever.
Yeah, and Graham Cass sent in $2 that someone Iger would hate. Hire Tom Connors as CEO. Well, see, here's the thing: is I think both Nelson Peltz and Elon Musk, if they were to have the ability to pick somebody to run Disney, neither one of them would want the job. They would find somebody they think is qualified. That's where I'm not so worried about him or either one of these two taking over. Don't you think, guys? I mean, Jonas, makes sense to me.
I don't think that. I think Peltz has a lot to offer on the business function,
Or it may
side.
be him, yeah.
But also that's somebody who can report to Nelson Peltz more than it needs to be Peltz himself. Peltz being on the board, I think, is important,
right,
because this is such a complicated situation. But I think as far as actually hiring someone to make changes, he's got a lot. I'm sure that he's got 7 people in his Rolodex that can fix this company.
Exactly.
They just need the authority to do it. And Elon Musk does not need to touch anything creative. He might greenlight something that is actually hopeful for the future. Because here's the thing that I really like about Musk is all of this, pointing towards Mars and everything he's doing. Neuralink creeps me out, but I see some of the positive aspects that could be there. He has a hopeful vision for the future. And I think that is the big difference here between Iger's, I'll say, politically entrenched ideology is not hopeful for the future unless it involves more government oversight. So
when I just bring it up, sorry, I'll let you go ahead, Andre, in a moment. I just want to say, because I just bring it up because I think Elon, I'm not nearly as smart as he is, but I think Elon would do what I would do, and that is say, look, I am not qualified to run this company. I would turn it over to Andre or Paul before I would do that. See, that's the difference. And I would be like, you put me in somewhere creative or something like that. But Elon wouldn't even necessarily want that. But go ahead, Andre. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, what I was going to say, and this goes right back to what Jonas was saying. Elon Musk is a futurist. You know who else was a futurist?
Disney.
Walt Disney.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, he was the closest thing to the Elon Musk of his day, because even back in the 1950s, when there was no way that he could do rocketry or something like that, because the technology, all of that didn't exist. You know what he did instead? He did the second best thing. He was able to find the Elon Musk of his day where rockets is concerned, namely Werner von Braun, the father of modern rocketry. He's not the inventor. No, he built upon the work of others. But his contributions, even though he started out building the V2, probably was a complete and total Nazi. That's part of history that cannot be denied. But even so, he's the guy who built the Saturn V that sent NASA to the moon. And before he did that, then Walt Disney hired him to get the audience and the masses excited about space travel and rocketry in 3 Disney specials, which are absolutely amazing. And to my awareness, Disney have not made any available anywhere other than in the DVD tins that came out more than 20 years ago. As I believe that's the last time those specials were released. Luckily, I have them.
Well, Disney was responsible for, not personally responsible, but he brought the people together and pushed for the technology for he was one of the first people to have mixing live action with animation with his Alice shorts.
And Disney, I believe, invented the multiplane animation.
Yes. Well, I don't know if he invented it, but he definitely made it famous. Yeah.
Well, it was a company patent, whether or not he personally invented it.
And what personally invented it was what's his face?
Iwerks.
Yes, exactly. That's the one.
I don't know if
I don't know how everybody says
Iwerks. His daughter says
Yeah.
And I have been saying this for the longest time, is that the most creative people in film and stage have got they're fans of gear porn. They love gear. And once that falls off the map, then you've got just uncreative nonsense.
Right. And if anybody wants to understand that invention, there's a movie called The Reluctant Dragon, which is essentially Disney propaganda about itself, but it doesn't mean it's not true. It's a black and white that eventually goes to color, or you can look it up on YouTube. But Disney's multiplane camera is an amazing invention. It's this tower that they used.
And not just that, but Epcot, all these things. This was all about gear, and you've got George Lucas, you've got, the Avatar dude.
Got Ridley Scott, James Cameron.
I mean, and all through filmdom, you've got the people who invented the Steadicam. You've got directors who really know how to use the gear, like Spielberg. These people are all into their gear, and that is a common thread through all these people. And in that regard, Musk and Walt probably have more DNA, so to speak, to share than pretty much anyone else.
Yeah,
that's a correct assessment, I believe.
It is. I've been making that comparison for a long, long time.
Good.
I mean,
Okay.
the
Good one.
The biggest problem is that they don't have anybody at the company, and they haven't had anybody at the company that can see the future anymore. The attractions and the edutainment that was in Epcot alone was directed towards a future that they saw coming, and did actually in the larger part did finally show up to some extent. And then they got rid of those attractions, and then they let them deteriorate over time, the ones that they kept open, and then they removed parts of them because they couldn't see the future anymore.
You're right.
They don't have dreamers. They don't have visionaries. They don't have creatives. They have like, well, let's hang on to what we've got mindset there. They don't have
corporate mindset. You're talking about corporate mindset versus imagination. Imagination creates the world. Corporations sell it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And when you don't allow imagination, you don't allow people who are creative, who like their gear porn, as Paul said, you don't get anything fun. You get stagnant results, and the last decade has been pretty stagnant.
Oh god.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.